you think you're experiencing right now. This moment, the present. You think what you see and hear and feel is happening now in real time as it occurs. You think you're synchronized with reality, perceiving the world as it actually is in this instant. You're not. You're living in the past, always. Every single moment of your life. Everything you've ever experienced happened before you experienced it. You've never perceived the present, not once, and you never will. Einstein proved this, not as some philosophical speculation, as a hard physical fact about the structure of reality. And once you understand why, once you really grasp what this means, you'll realize that the entire concept of now is far more complicated and far more strange than you ever imagined. Let me show you the problem. Right now you're looking at something, maybe a screen, maybe a wall. Light is bouncing off that surface, traveling to your eyes, hitting your retina, triggering electrical signals that travel through your optic nerve to your brain, and only then, only after all of that, do you experience seeing it. That takes time. Not much time. Light is fast, incredibly fast, but it's not instantaneous. Nothing is instantaneous. The speed of light is finite, roughly 300,000 kilometers per second. That sounds fast, and it is, but it means light takes time to travel. If you're looking at something 1 meter away, the light from it takes about 3 nanoseconds to reach your eyes. 3 billionths of a second, then the signal has to travel through your nervous system to your brain. That's much slower. Nerve impulses move at maybe 100 meters per second. Your brain is maybe half a meter from your eyes, so that's another 5 milliseconds. Then your brain has to process the information, construct the image, make sense of what it's seeing. That takes longer still, maybe 50 to 80 milliseconds total before you consciously perceive anything. So when you see something 1 meter away, you're seeing it as it was about 80 milliseconds ago, roughly 1/10 of a second. You're living 80 milliseconds in the past, but it gets worse. If you're looking at someone across the room, say 5 meters away, the light takes longer. You're now seeing them as they were 17 nanoseconds ago, plus the 80 milliseconds processing time. If you're watching the moon, you're seeing it as it was 1.3 seconds ago. The sun? 8 minutes ago. The nearest star? 4 years ago. A distant galaxy? Millions or billions of years ago. You've never seen anything as it actually is now. You only see the past, and not even the same past for everything. Different objects exist at different moments in your perception based on how far away they are. This isn't just vision, it's everything. Sound is even slower than light. Much slower. Sound travels at roughly 343 meters per second in air. If someone is talking to you from across the room, 5 meters away, their voice reaches you about 15 milliseconds after they speak, plus another 80 milliseconds for your brain to process it. You're hearing them as they were about 95 milliseconds ago, almost 1/10 of a second. Touch feels immediate. You think when you touch something you feel it right then, but the nerve signal from your finger has to travel to your brain. If you touch something with your finger, and your brain is maybe 1 meter away along the nervous system, that signal takes about 10 milliseconds to arrive, plus processing time. You're feeling the past, not the present. Everything you experience is delayed. You live in a bubble of lagged perception, always a fraction of a second behind reality. You've never experienced the present, and you never will. The universe is always ahead of you, but here's where Einstein comes in. Because the problem is much deeper than nerve signals and processing delays. Even if you had instantaneous nerves, even if your brain processed information infinitely fast, even if light traveled infinitely fast, you still wouldn't experience the present. Because the present doesn't exist as an objective feature of the universe. This is what Einstein discovered with special relativity, and it's the most disturbing part. Imagine you're standing still, and someone else is moving past you very fast. You both look at the same event, a light bulb turning on. You both see it. You both measure when it happened. And you disagree. Not because of signal delays or processing time. You fundamentally disagree about when that event occurred. If the person moving past you is going fast enough, an event that happens now for you might have already happened for them, or might not have happened yet. Their now is different from your now, and both of you are correct. There is no universal present moment that extends across space. No cosmic now that everyone agrees on. The present is relative. It depends on how you're moving, And this means that the very concept of experiencing the present is incoherent. There is no single present to experience. Let me make this concrete. You're standing on Earth. An astronaut is flying past you in a spaceship at half the speed of light. You both check your watches at what you each consider to be the same time. You both say now, but you're not referring to the same now. Your now includes events that haven't happened in the astronaut's now. The astronaut's now includes events that already happened in your now. If there's an explosion on Mars, you might both see it eventually, but you will disagree about when it happened relative to when you checked your watches, not because of light travel time that you can account for. You disagree about the actual moment of the explosion in the timeline of the universe. The order of events is different for different observers. Einstein called this the relativity of simultaneity, and it destroys the concept of a universal present. Think about what this means. Right now you have a sense of what's happening now. You imagine that while you're reading this, other things are happening simultaneously across the universe. A star is exploding. A planet is forming. Events are unfolding. All now. But someone moving relative to you would slice through the universe at a different angle and construct a completely different set of events that are happening now. Their present includes things that are in your future or your past. And they're not wrong. There is no fact of the matter about which events are truly simultaneous. It depends on your reference frame. This means you can't even define what the present is in any absolute sense. The present is a local, subjective, observer-dependent slice through space-time, not a universal truth. So when I say you're living in the past, I don't just mean you're delayed by processing time. I mean the entire concept of living in the present is meaningless. The present doesn't exist objectively. You're living in your subjective past, perceiving a slice of space-time that depends on your motion and your position, and that slice is already outdated by the time you perceive it. But Einstein went further. He showed that not only is the present relative, but the past and future are too. Here's the disturbing part. Imagine you're looking at a distant star. You see it as it was 1,000 years ago. That light has been traveling through space for a millennium before hitting your eye. You see the past directly. No interpretation needed. The past is literally reaching you right now. But from that star's perspective, if there were an observer there moving in a certain way, they might consider your right now to be in what you think of as your past or your future. They could slice through space-time at an angle where events from your tomorrow are happening simultaneous with their today. Past, present, and future are not fixed categories. They're observer-dependent. What you call the present, someone else calls the past. What you call the future, someone else is experiencing now. It all exists. All moments exist. The distinctions between them are artifacts of your perspective, not features of reality. Einstein realized this, and it haunted him. He said that the distinction between past, present, and future is a stubbornly persistent illusion. Persistent because you feel it so strongly. Illusion because it's not actually there in the structure of space-time. All moments are equally real. Your childhood exists right now, just at different space-time coordinates. Your death exists right now, just at different coordinates. The birth of the universe exists. The heat-death of the universe exists. All of it is there, in the four-dimensional block of space-time. And calling one moment the present is just an arbitrary choice based on where you are and how you're moving. Let me show you something even stranger. The delay in your perception isn't just about light travel and nerve signals. It's about causality itself. Einstein proved that nothing can travel faster than light. Not matter, not energy, not information, not cause and effect. The speed of light is the ultimate speed limit of the universe. This means causality has a built-in delay. When something happens, its effects can't propagate faster than light. If a star explodes 1,000 light years away, we don't find out for 1,000 years. Not because of technological limitations, because the universe itself imposes a delay. The information that the star exploded travels at light speed and not faster. You might think, okay, but surely the explosion happened now, 1,000 years ago, even if we don't see it yet. There's a fact of the matter about when it happened, but that's not true. According to relativity, there is no absolute when. The explosion happened when depends on who you ask and how they're moving. Different observers will place that explosion at different moments in their conception of time. The speed limit of light doesn't just delay information, it makes simultaneity undefined. And that means causality itself is observer-dependent. What caused what in what order, depends on your reference frame. As long as cause precedes effect in every reference frame, which relativity ensures there's no paradox, but the timing is flexible, so you're not just living in the past because of delays. You're living in a universe where the past, present, and future are all scrambled together, in a way that depends on how you're moving and where you are. The clean timeline you imagine doesn't exist. Reality is a four-dimensional block, and you're experiencing a particular path through it, but that path is not the path. Other observers have other paths, other timelines, other orderings of events. Now here's the really disturbing question. If you're always perceiving the past, if the present doesn't exist objectively, if all moments exist eternally in the block of space-time, then what is consciousness actually doing? You feel like you're moving through time. You feel like there's a flow, a progression, a direction. But Einstein proved that's not how space-time works. Space-time is static. All events exist at once. So what creates the sensation of flow? Einstein didn't answer this. It's still an open question. But here's the best answer we have. Consciousness seems to be a process that moves through the block of space-time, encountering moments sequentially. Your consciousness right now is at a particular location in space-time. A moment ago, it was at a different location. It's traversing the structure, experiencing one moment after another, even though all those moments exist simultaneously. But why does consciousness move forward and not backward? Why do you remember the past but not the future? Entropy. Disorder. The universe started in a low entropy state, and it's been increasing ever since. Consciousness, which requires complex organized structures like brains, can only form memories in the direction of increasing entropy. That's the direction where organized patterns can record information. So you move through space-time in the direction of increasing entropy, experiencing that direction as time's arrow, as the flow from past to future. But the flow is in your experience, not in the structure of space-time itself. The structure is static. You're the one moving through it, and here's the kicker. You're not even moving through it in real time. You're always behind. Your consciousness is experiencing moments that already happened, processing information that's already old, constructing a sense of now that's actually the past. You're a lagged process moving through a static structure, experiencing a delayed version of reality, and calling that experience the present. But it's not the present, it's the past, always the past. Einstein proved there's no other possibility. Let me give you one more example of how deep this goes. When you look in a mirror, you see yourself, but you're not seeing yourself now. You're seeing yourself as you were a few nanoseconds ago, the time it took light to travel from you to the mirror and back to your eyes. That's not even accounting for processing time. The you in the mirror is already in your past. When you talk to someone face to face, you think you're having a conversation in real time, but you're not. You hear their words after they speak them. You see their lips move after the movement occurred. By the time you process what they said and respond, they're already different people than they were when they spoke. Neurons have fired, molecules have moved, time has passed. You're always conversing with the past version of them. Every interaction you've ever had was with the past. Every perception you've ever had was of the past. Every decision you've ever made was based on past information. You have never, not even once, interacted with the present, and according to Einstein, that's good, because the present doesn't exist. Different observers moving at different speeds slice through space-time at different angles and construct different presents. There is no single present moment extending across the universe. There are only local observer-dependent nows, and even those are just arbitrary labels for particular slices through the four-dimensional block. You're living in the past because there is no present to live in. Now you might be thinking, okay, but this is all just physics. It doesn't change my experience. I still feel like I'm experiencing now. True, you do feel that, but Einstein would tell you that feeling is exactly the illusion he was talking about. The feeling of now is real as an experience, but it doesn't correspond to anything objective in the structure of space-time. It's a trick your brain plays, a useful fiction that helps you navigate reality, but doesn't actually describe how time works. And once you know that, once you really internalize it, your experience changes. Not the raw sensation. You still feel the flow, but your interpretation changes. You realize you're not experiencing reality as it is. You're experiencing a heavily processed, significantly delayed, subjective reconstruction of reality. a story your brain tells you based on old information. The universe is ahead of you, always, running on without waiting for your perception to catch up, and the present you think you're experiencing is a ghost, a memory of something that already happened, dressed up to feel immediate. Einstein saw this. He understood that time doesn't work the way it feels, that the present is an illusion, that all moments exist eternally, and our journey through them is just consciousness encountering them one by one, always slightly behind. He wrote about this with a kind of sadness, because he knew what it meant. It meant that his friend who died was still there, just at different coordinates. It meant that everything that ever happened is still happening, always, in the block of space-time. It meant that the flow we feel is not the flow of time, but the flow of our awareness through time. And it meant that we're all living in the past, forever chasing a present that doesn't exist, experiencing a reality that's always one step ahead of us. You're living in the past. Right now, this very moment, you're reading words that were written in your past, perceiving light that left your screen in your past, thinking thoughts that began in your past. By the time you experience anything, it's already over. Einstein proved this, not as philosophy, as physics. As a mathematical certainty derived from the simple fact that the speed of light is finite, and the same for all observers. The present is relative, observer-dependent, and by the time you perceive it, it's already the past. You've never experienced now. You never will. And somehow, impossibly, beautifully, you keep living anyway. Keep experiencing. Keep thinking you're in the present, even though you're always in the past. Keep feeling the flow, even though the structure is static. That's what consciousness does. It creates the illusion of now from the reality of the past. And that illusion is so powerful, so convincing, that even Einstein, who proved it was an illusion, still felt it every day of his life. You're living in the past. Einstein explained why. And reality is stranger than you ever imagined.